All right, everybody. It's the Hook Cam back with another film breakdown. Chiefs Raiders starting this thing off for my little weekend of breakdowns. Chiefs fans, solid game from the second quarter on. I think that the Raiders were trying to play small ball, really run the rock, force the Chiefs to play more on their heels as far as defense goes. But that Chiefs offense just catches up to you, and sooner or later you're going to be in a shootout with those guys. So to start things off, first things first, you guys know I hate saying this. If you guys could please like and subscribe to my channel, it would really help pump up those numbers for me. Sorry for a little bit of the delay too. I know it's later Tuesday. I was trying to get this thing done in the morning, but it ended up the film ended up not being available until later in the day. So sorry about that. I'm trying to figure some stuff out as which way I should do this in terms of getting this film out to you as soon as possible. So anyway, all that stuff being said, guys, let's break down some of this film. For starters, okay, Oakland's got the ball at the Kansas City 20-yard line. What we're seeing out of the Chiefs here is an over front. Okay, so we've got our 1 tech shaded on the nose, our 3 tech, really a 4-eye here because he's on the inside shade of that tackle. He could be anywhere from the 4-eye to the outside shade of this guard, which is called a 3 tech. And then we have this edge defender who's head up on this tight end. Excuse me. Now, Derek Carr is going to motion this tight end across the formation and put him on the other side. That's going to bump the backers back. It's also going to bump this D end in. But what you can see here, right, and the way that the Raiders were running this rock early in the game is they were finding this bubble. Okay, that's what you call this, is the bubble. Since this cat is so tight to the nose or to the center, you have this nice 2-gap lane right here to run through. And all the Raiders do is run power out of this, right? They're going to get their tight end's going to work to the inside, this play side shoulder of 55. This tackle is going to work all the way down to 54. You're going to have a down block from your left guard here onto this nose tackle. Your center is going to work back on the 3 tech. You're going to get 2 backside hinges out of your tight end and tackle. Tight end and tackle. And then we're going to pull for this Mike, and we're going to kick out with our fullback onto whichever backer shows here. I think he ends up going outside of this tight end, but you guys get the picture. Okay, and all that I'm saying with this here is that the Chiefs' defense in this situation it's not gap sound, and that's what was killing them, right? Later in the game, they changed it up, and they really did a good job creating a run-stopping defense. But early in the game, this is why the Raiders were able to run the rock so well. It was happening with wide zones. It was happening with power, where the Chiefs were lining up in a gap, unsound defense. And this is something that'll hurt them, in games. It'll hurt anybody in games. It's not just Kansas City, right? But you have to line up in a defense that's more gap sound. I think they went to more of a bear look with 3 defensive tackles. Technically, they had a nose tackle and then the 2 3 techs. But regardless, right here, this is why the Raiders were having a lot of success running the rock. They were just finding that bubble and then attacking it with power or wide zone. All right, fellas, next play here, we're going to get the classic Chiefs RPO where we've got a wide zone going on our play side, and then we have a double slants on the backside, which you can't see here. Now, what's happening with this is we have a new guy in at left tackle, right? Cameron Ervin. He played a ton at Florida State. He's really a plug-and-play player, but in this situation, he gets absolutely served. And I want to break down what's wrong with his steps, okay? When you're playing this backside tackle and you've got a wide zone look, right, you have to take an aggressive step, and you have to basically be stepping to where his shoulder pads are, right? You want to be stepping outside of where his body is, if that makes sense, right? You can see on this that Cameron Ervin really doesn't do a good job of taking an aggressive reach step, and that's what opens up that inside lane, and that's what creates really a lane for 99 to get in here, Clelin Ferrell, right? He just runs right through that. He over physicals him, and he ends up getting worked on this, and that's what causes this play to get shot down in the backfield. He needs to be much more aggressive with his step and really push this thing just down the line of scrimmage, because there's definitely a lane for Williams to work with here, right? He's good enough to take this thing up right there and get some yardage on that. Mahomes makes the right read on this as well, because when you're doing this RPO, you're really just reading this backside backer. Okay, if this backside backer flies in, then you throw the slant behind it. But he stays and floats back with that slant, and that's what causes him to give that ball. Again, it's on this backside tackle, and I know he's not the every down starter, but he's got to be better at this position, especially when he's playing left tackle against an aggressive defensive end like that. All right, fellas, continuing with the miscues from the Chief offense early in this game, all that we're going to see here is what really ends up being a cover 2 man from the Raiders, okay? And what you're going to see here is your classic corner concept. The Raiders do a good job of kind of bracketing these outside guys. You can see here that they got a guy underneath and a guy over the top. When people say double team, you don't necessarily really double team anybody. You bracket guys, and that's kind of one of my biggest pet peeves in football. Is that when they double team? No, they bracketed them, right? You had a guy underneath, you had a guy over the top. There's no such thing as a double team. This isn't schoolyard football. Okay. Now the problem with this is because this ball is there, right? When you're seeing a cover 2, what you want to throw is your classic smash concept, which is just a flat and a corner behind it, because you puncture that zone, right? So you can see here Hardman does a really good job of working upfield. I think he can be a little bit skinnier with this, but when he breaks his route, he's way too far vertical, right? Since you have this bracketed coverage, you want to take this thing and take it straight to the sideline. You almost run it like an out route, right? And you can see that's exactly where Mahomes is throwing it. He's throwing it a little bit farther upfield, but you want to run that thing almost like an out route when you have that over the top coverage, which is what you get in this cover 2 man situation, right? He's over the top, break that thing straight to the sidelines, and 15 is going to get that ball to you here. Again, it was early miscues like this that kept the Chiefs out of really running the Raiders out of the building, to be honest with you. And we'll see later in the film when it all clicks, the Chiefs are a very dangerous team offensively. But again, these are just the early miscues. This is some of the things that were going on early in the game that I just wanted to bring to light in this video. All right, fellas, the touchdown. Everything comes together on this play. Something that the Chiefs do really, really well, and you see good offenses who spread the rock around. Offenses that spread the rock around. Excuse me. What they do really well is they're able to confuse a defense and really show them unbalanced looks. Right. So what we're going to get out of this is Mahomes is going to motion Damian Williams all the way across the formation and into the flat. He's going to be that flat threat for the defense, right? But as you can see, as he motions across the formation here, defense is going to check. Now, I think that they're trying to check to a cover 4 look here, and a safety just absolutely gets torched, right? Off the snap here, you can see, first off, we've got no one covering this flat defender. Now, I'm assuming that it's 4 because this corner, essentially, if you have a vertical route and you're running 4, you're basically manned up, right? This safety's dropping back and this corner's dropping back as well. But what happens is, because the Chiefs are running a 3 verts look, right? He ends up breaking this thing to an out route. Because they're running a 3 verts look, you basically take away this corner, right? And then they kind of bend these verts into posts, and you pretty much end up with a double post against a cover 2 look, right? Because this corner is going to end up being manned up with this receiver, okay? And we've got this corner manned up with this receiver, right? But now we have a double post against a cover 2 look, and what that does is you put the safety in a bind, because now he has to choose which post to flow with. He picks the shallow post, which he shouldn't do. He should stick with this one, obviously, and that post is going to run into that second corner, or that second safety, excuse me. But he picks the wrong post to run with. Mahomes puts this thing downfield, and it's an easy score. One more time in full speed, right? We're checking out this safety right here, and there's obviously a clear miscommunication between this linebacker and this corner, since they both just let that guy run free. But I do think it's cover 4. This safety ends up being put in a bind with these 2 vertical threats. No one carries number 2. We got ourselves 7 points here. So again, great throw from Mahomes, obviously. But again, you're just stressing those defenses, stressing those safeties with this Chiefs playbook that just seems like a bottomless pit of pass routes and combinations that are just going to screw with defenses. Fellas, next play here, super heavy personnel out of Oakland, right? 13 personnel. We got 3 tight ends lined up on the right side of the screen here. Now, why I put this play in here is because you can see the difference between that 22 personnel earlier in the game, right? And you can see the difference now where we have 13 personnel, which it's not the exact same thing because you're unbalancing the line, but personnel-wise, it kind of boils down to the same thing, right? What we see out of the Chiefs is we see basically a 5-man underfront, okay? All an underfront is, right, here's our strength. We have our edge defender here, our defensive end, who's lined up on the outside shoulder of the tackle, excuse me. You have your nose tackle, who's lined up shaded to the strength on the center. You have your defensive tackle here, who's lined up in a 3-tech on the backside guard. And then you have your edge defender, who's lined up out here. Now, I know what you're saying. Well, there's more than 5 guys on the line of scrimmage. I know that. But you have this backer who's down, and he's playing in the gap right here in between these 2 tight ends, right? If there was only if there was only 2 tight ends and not 3, he would probably be lined up outside shade right here, but he's in between there. And then you have your edge defender here who's lined up head up on this tight end. Again, what I'm trying to show you guys is how much more gap sound this defense is, okay? We have these 2 backers who are taking care of this A gap for this backer and this B gap for this backer, okay? The Mike and the Will. And then you have your Sam down on the line of scrimmage again, classic 5-man under. But just watch how they play this thing, right? Great gap gap control. Really good job from this edge defender who ends up making the play on this thing. But again, you're controlling gaps. You're not letting anybody move you, right? Solid job from the Raiders, picking this thing up and making sure every gap is secure, right? We've got a little bit of leakage here and leakage here, but again, really good job from the Chiefs playing gap sound football. Hey, if you want to line up and bang the rock around, then that's fine. We'll line up and fill up every gap. Solid job from the Chiefs defense as far as adjustments go and just playing gap sound football. All right, fellas, next play here. Another touchdown throw from Mahomes, and Mecole Hardman is an absolute specimen of a football player. All right, Raiders are in. Someone pointed this out today. Raiders are in quarter half, right? And all quarter half is I'm not a huge fan of this coverage personally, but. And I also don't think the Raiders are running in the right direction, because quarter half essentially is you have your 3 DBs, right, who are going to be taking the depths of the field, right? You have this corner who's going to take this quarter of the field, this corner who's going to take this corner of the field, and then you have this safety, this is a safety as well, and you have this safety who's taking half of the field. If I was going to run this coverage, I would run it so that this guy has less space to cover, so I would put him in the boundary, right? Now, the Chiefs kind of have the Raiders. They have the Raiders number on this. Okay, this ball should not be completed, but because the Raiders are running quarter half and they're running the half to the field side, right, to the wide side of the field, Mecole Hardman just runs a double move and he's so damn fast that he gets upfield quick. Right now he sticks this and he really doesn't do a great job of selling the out route here, but he does just enough. And what happens is he turns his head, and that's the biggest thing that catches the safety a little bit on his heels. Right, watch Mecole Hardman at the top of his route. He's going to turn his head back to Mahomes, and it's going to look really quickly right there. You can see his face mask as he's turned kind of towards the sideline. All that's going to do is make the safety think I got to come down on this ball. He whips his eyes back upfield, takes that thing skinny, and Mahomes just lays it out there for him to reel in. An unreal throw, first off, and a really good route for a rookie, too, if we're being honest, right? It is a solid route. Up top, you can tell Travis Kelce knows he's not getting the rock, and then you have your number 1 receiver who just kind of runs, and all he's trying to do is throw some bait out there, right? You have both of these defensive backs staring this vertical route down, and you're leaving this safety one-on-one really with Hardman on this, because this guy, he's just trying to stay inside of number 2. Okay, and which is what he's doing, but as soon as he turns this thing, now he's got to flip his hips and get vertical with 17, who's one of the fastest guys coming out of this year's draft. Not a chance it's going to happen. The safety's got no chance to get in on this rock, and it's another 6 points for Kansas City. Once again, if I were the Raiders, I wouldn't run this coverage with my half of the field defender being to the field. I would run it to the boundary, but again, Chiefs take advantage, and another 6 points on the board for Kansas City. All right, fellas, Chiefs backed up inside their own 5. All that we're going to see to the play side of this is we're going to see a really simple hunt route, and then we're going to see a wheel out of the running back. Now, the Raiders are in cover 1, and that's very, very obvious, right? Pretty obvious. Okay, so we got number 2 over number 2, number 1 over number 1. He's going to be over number 3. We have our other corner who's going to be matched up with Kelce over here, and then we have this backer who's going to have to run with the back. We have our safety who's covering cover 1, right? Now, we know play calling that this dude's going to drop back. He's got to take the deep half of the field, okay? So that means that this backer is going to have to run with this running back on the wheel, and there's no way that this safety is going to get over the top, okay? Your middle of the field player is lost in the middle of this thing. You just create traffic in the middle with this hunt. If it's open, you can sling it in there, but again, Mahomes knows right now when these two guys are hip to hip that Williams is going to beat him running a vertical, okay? Really good ball right in the basket for Damian Williams, and a big-time gain to get you out of the shadows of your own goalpost there. Again, just great schematics on these plays, right? You know you're inside your own 5. You know it's going to be man coverage. Mahomes pointing out there who the mic is, where that protection is going to work to. Really good job up front, giving him the time as well. Solid job by this guard. If this tackle wants to work upfield, that's great. Push him out there, work him right by, and again, just a great ball from 15. So just the play calling and the situational awareness out of the Chiefs, I think, is next level, and it really is what separates them from other teams. And there's no spot on the field where these guys can't score from. That is the most outstanding thing about this football team. All right, fellas, next play on this drive, literally the next play after that wheel, actually, is going to be a monster gain from the Chiefs. And what I love about this play is it's kind of like a throwback, right? So you're going to motion number 2 all the way across the formation. He's the new number 1, okay? You're going to give them a run action out of this, and your line's going to sell wide zone to the left, okay? Mahomes does a really good job getting to his launch point. Okay, we've sealed in this defensive end at the top. We've also got Kelce working in a max protect, and this is a 2-receiver route. All right, and we're basically putting this safety in a bind. Pick one of these deep corners, right? Pick one of these deep crossers, I mean. Safety decides to kind of run with this cat, and this dude's wide open on a throwback. Again, not a lot of other quarterbacks in the league are going to make this throw. Okay, watch this thing in its entirety again, and watch the blocking, though. That's what's important. We got Sammy Watkins and Travis Kelce helping block, and all you're trying to do on this is create a new launch point for Mahomes, right? He gets to a spot on the field where, as a defensive back, you don't think he can get that ball all the way over the top to the opposite 40, right? Actually, it's farther than that, to the opposite 30 almost. Just an insane ball, but again, it's the setup on it pre-snap that I love, okay? Watkins and Kelce both sticking in here trying to block. Mahomes is trying to get out over to here as his launch point. Really good job with Sammy Watkins throwing his shoulder in there. Easy ball for Mahomes to throw, which is an insane thing to say. But again, once this Chiefs offense gets rolling, there's not a lot that can stop it. All right, best ball of the day here for Patrick Mahomes. Again, something that I don't understand about football is if something is not working, if you're sticking in cover 1, why the hell do you continue to run it? All right, the ball's on the 25 here, maybe 28. Most teams will go into a cover 2 when you're inside the red zone, which, you know, depending on where you determine that, some guys call it the 25, some guys call it the 20, but they're sticking in cover 1 on this, okay? Mahomes gives a quick run action, which brings the backers up. Now we know for a fact that it's man. And all he's going to do is look off this safety. All he has to do is flash his eyes over here, and this safety is going to bite hard, which is exactly what he does. Now, Kelce does a good job kind of selling this out route and then getting vertical, but this is just a great ball from 15, hitting that whole shot right where the only guy who can get it is 87. Just an outstanding job. Again, watch his eyes on this. See how he flashes to the right. Now he's going to look back to the left and put this thing right in that sweet pocket where only 87 can get it, man. Just an outstanding job from this Chiefs offense. And again, I don't understand if cover 1's not working, why keep running it? And you can see right here, he IDs the mic, flips the back over, so that way we know, okay, now we know for a fact it's man because he just bumped out a little bit. The run action is going to suck these backers up. They've got absolutely no chance on this thing. This is an easy touchdown for the Chiefs. All right, fellas, last play I'm going to break down for you guys. Chiefs put up all their points in the second quarter, and what's phenomenal to me about this, and I just said it in the last clip, is how you don't change as a defensive coordinator, right? With this, we're going to get the same thing. It's cover 1, okay? Actually, it's not cover 1. I'm a liar. It's cover 4. And essentially what cover 4 is, right, is you're dropping your 2 corners and 2 safeties back deep, and they're going to cover the quarter of the field, right? But really what they're going to try and run up top is like a switch route, which ends up getting mucked up. But what happens down here is you know that if you stress this safety vertically, right, with both of these receivers, he has to pick one of them to go with, okay? And you know that one of your receivers is going to be able to beat this corner on a nice little double move. Okay, but what happened earlier in the game with 17, he beats that safety on a double move. Now he's chomping at the bit. He doesn't want to get that to happen again. So Hardman does almost the same thing. He doesn't really sell the double move. He just runs a bender right in front of him. The safety has to run with that, right? If you as a safety don't run with this, okay, as he's coming across the field, then you're a trash safety. Okay, but safety does the right thing. He runs with that bender. But what that does is now you open up a one-on-one with your receiver in this corner. And when your receiver beats him like that, there's nothing you can do. There's also an insane ball from Mahomes, by the way. He puts this thing back shoulder from 40 yards out. Are you kidding me? This is insane. But again, Chiefs just creating matchups one-on-one, athlete on athlete, and that's how they end up putting up 28 in one quarter, man. This is what's so fascinating to me about Kansas City. The Raiders try to go in there, they try to pound the rock, they try to play ball control, and all the Chiefs do is they wait for their opportunity, right? Okay, maybe you put up 10 points, but being up 14, 21 points on Kansas City honestly doesn't mean anything, because they're going to put that up if you slip at all defensively. They're going to put that up on you in a heartbeat, and you're done. So again, anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed this video. Sorry it's coming out a little bit later. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, please drop a like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. But that's all I got for you guys today. I'll see you next time.